Okay, welcome back. If you're watching the LP, this is part 2. If you're on the stream, then this is just about 5 seconds from when I stopped the previous one. Yeah, my voice is kind of like soothing. Hey! God, I get tired. Or marketing is so much easier on the internet because you can just fake everything. I'm excited about my games. Yeah, so these statues are just, so I think a lot of stuff is sort of about the fears that Young has related to sort of Briar, the other character, and kind of overcoming them or moving past them. And, conventional percussion. I can't answer everything. I'll answer that in a second. Fuck, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so each statue kind of represents sort of like a fear or a bad sort of feeling that Young has, and it's kind of like moving past it with the windmill. So this one is kind of like being watched, paranoia, etc. And by traditional percussion, maybe I was lying. I'm not really sure. I mean, it's, there's, bass drum, kick, and snare, but I guess it doesn't... when I say conventional, I mean it might not always sound like those things. Sometimes they're used rhythmically, sometimes they're used more... I don't really know what I mean by conventional, but basically it's maybe conventional is maybe not the right word. I don't know. Someone else can listen to the music later and describe it better than I can, because I don't really know what to say about it other than that I want to use the music or use the percussive elements a lot to sort of to sort of convey texture and themes about the areas. Sometimes it is beats, not they're not really in your face, I guess. A good example is, let me shit. Where do I go? SoundCloud. I don't really know what a good example is, but yeah, they're used sometimes to convey motion in the song and kind of convey mood to sort of accompany the visual themes and the themes of the game and the themes of the NPCs, at least for Even the Ocean. Kind of whatever feels right. Right, shit. Okay, why am I here? Okay, so I'm gonna post this in the... Shit. Where's my little information thing I posted? Oh, God. Yeah, it's not beats. Okay. Okay. Jesus Christ. What am I doing? Okay. Right. So we finished the first dungeon, and in terms of design, this is everything's been very, very linear up to this point. In terms of areas you can visit, so everything branches out a little bit in the next area. So that gate here is a card door, and it opens up and you get cards. And if you go past it, then you get what happens? You get there's like a little dungeon sequence and a little mini dungeon, and then like a health upgrade. But there's something I want to comment on there that's not related to either of those, so I'll do it. Sensing 4 cards. The date decides to open. How exciting. Yeah, so much of this is just, like, just dumb. I don't know, like, I guess, you know, you need cards to open shit or whatever, but, like, why did we even need to gate it off in the first place, you know? Isn't it enough to just let someone explore the area? Why did I even do this? I mean, I like cards. I like collecting things if it gives you an immediate thing that is sort of, useful. Not useful, but I mean, like, that doesn't, like, say, okay, well, now you need to collect 50 more of shiny rocks to unlock something in the future. And so I'm kind of running into that issue of even the ocean, in that, you know, we have items, but there's some items that don't really have functions yet, so we're kind of like, oh, maybe it'll be a generic thing to open something. But, you know, maybe it can just be something that's, like, sort of, like, nice and cute, and we can just not have any shit like, you gotta find all 50 magic golden orbs to open these magic gates in the end of everything or something. Okay, so there's some stuff I need to talk to about in the chat, but I'm gonna talk about this, of course, in a second. So something I really like doing in area design is hinting at sort of an existence of something more to the area that you're allowed to explore. And that is through the level design itself, not through stuff like backgrounds. But I like to have ways to actually allow you to explore them later, because otherwise it's just annoying. So maybe that'll just make everything obvious for how I'm going to do stuff for getting everywhere or whatever. But like here in this area, you know, it's hinting at, you know, oh wait, maybe there's something, you know, that's beyond, you know. And also if you look on the, what am I saying? And it kind of hints that there's something over there, and there is something over there. But whatever. Tile on the right isn't tiled right. Yeah, that's messed up. Hold on 1 second. My dad's back. Oh, I'm gonna die. Okay. I'm totally gonna die. There's no way I'm gonna... I don't know. I'm too scared to die. Fuck. I'm gonna save my game. No. Please. Okay. Thank God. Okay. Let's see. Chat stuff. Major glitches. The only major glitch that I noticed was the wiggle glitch, but I actually don't know how to fix it. Or I think I decided that it was kind of cool and I didn't want to waste any time fixing it. The barking sample. I don't remember. Probably copyright issues. Maybe. I found it somewhere and then I just like changed it to fit more. I didn't actually make it. It probably would have been cooler if I made the barking sound myself, which I prefer to do. But I don't know, those things are really hard to model with stuff that would fit into the sound design of this game. And another thing on sound design, I guess, is that the sound effects for this, you know, they have to fit the music and fit the art style, I think. Otherwise, it's just weird. I'm a firm believer of, you know, if you're going to use sound effects, make them good, or else don't even put them in at all. Because it's just going to ruin everything. A lot of game jams will have sound effects that are really bad, and it's infuriating. I don't know. And talking about the music, yeah, so the music was all ambient except for the dungeon. The dungeon's music, that bedroom music, or the first dungeon, the Seeing One's Temple, it only uses whole tones, and that's a, kind of a cheesy theory effect to kind of get a mysterious mood. And it works. So I have to eat dinner, but I'm going to get to the next... What should I do before I eat dinner? I'm going to go... I'll play up to the really infuriating cliff room. Yeah, so we'll go to the cliff room and I'll clear it on my first try and show you that it is not hard, or I'll fuck up. Yeah, sound effects are so important. This is one of my favorite songs that I made. So this is Mao Xiao Tuan and John, if John's listening, maybe he can type the explanation, I'll read it out loud, because I think, other than the fact we wanted to make the fields area feel a little bit alive, and kind of have its own sense of, existence, he also has a cat, or I think his partner's cat, also, his name is that. Okay, so you meet Mitra, introduce myself. I'm Mitra. How have you been, young? Every time I talk to this NPC, all I think about is me testing all the dialogue options and making them work and don't freeze the game or break anything, so I just don't have any sense of joy reading this. Bye, Mitra. So Mitra actually gives you tips if you don't know what you're doing. And actually, if you beat all the dungeons and you don't have the cards, there's tips for each and every single one of the cards and how to find it. And I don't think anyone knows that, and basically that was largely a waste of time in doing it. West Beach, East Forest, Southeast Rainy Area, North Temple Grounds, Northwest Chasm. And, so the contrast between this fields area and the previous area is obviously very jarring from an art style standpoint, music style, general mood and function of the areas. It's very wide and open and branching. And that's sort of hinting at sort of the dream nature of things, and sort of, hopefully, because when you juxtapose things like this, but you don't do it in, a totally, careless manner, I think it makes people think a lot more about how you decided to lay out your world. Yeah, so I'm not gonna do the cat side quest. I'm gonna do the shortcut to get to the forest. Someone says, I am blown away that you accomplished this with Adobe Air. I am blown away too, because I can't stand Adobe Air. Actually, it's fine overall. It's just that Linux people really hate it, and when you want to do a game that has a lot of external data, it's kind of a pain in the ass, I guess, because the file system calls are... What the fuck am I doing with the dust? The file system calls are kind of annoying. Things are just slow in general. You don't get the GPU, so you're really limited by what you can do. And also, the reason that I use hacks for Even the Ocean now is because the backend code, so OpenFL and stuff, and Lime, like the fruit, are they're gonna be allowing you to port to all these platforms and still get GPU rendering. It's PS4 and stuff, probably. At least they're hoping to do that. I don't know if that was the secret, but alright, so I just did a shortcut to get to the place. So John, in answer to Mao Xiao Tuan, fuck, I can't pronounce Chinese things, it's okay, was my partner Mo's cat. Anyway, actually not, it was the roommate's cat, but yeah, anyway. Icky as well. Icky is short for Ichabod, and Icky is the other cat that you could see. Meow is just an attempt to make the area feel more alive and interesting. it's kind of annoying because we didn't streamline things that well with the side quest. Yeah, this Goldman thing is hard because it's so like, doesn't, you don't really pit dust in holes or whatever. I'll open that up. Yeah, so the fields area is kind of split into areas. It's got the lake, sort of like the mountainy stuff on top, and then this sort of mini forest area. And so, fun fact. So if you played a bit, you might. Also, these are like super weird. Okay, so there's this like weird, thing. If you haven't seen it, this deer. There's actually a way to always see it. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but I'll do it. Yeah, so there is the deer, no deer, and deer, no deer, deer, no deer, deer, no deer. Yeah, so it's basically for debugging, but I'll never tell you. So, you have to use the keyboard. It's not really ever being flexible. This is just built upon Flash. It's programmatically really just simple. All the data is stored as an XML file, which you can embed with Adobe with ActionScript 3, and then you can use built-in APIs to parse the XML, and then you just write code inside the game to generate stuff. The only weird thing is like how we did dialogue is which we didn't want to include it as a separate file, or maybe you could have, I don't know. But, all you really need to do is be able to read some files from the file system and have, like, window resizing code, which Adobe Air totally does. Yeah, so it's pretty flexible, actually. It's kind of slow, and it's also not open source, which is a pain in the ass. I don't really like that. I think the elk might show up here. Yeah, it does. It shows up here. JSON. No JSON. It's XML. Okay, level data is CSV files. Deer, no deer. Deal. Yeah, XML. I'm not using it anymore because I hate it. I use my own file format for everything, and even the ocean, just because I don't need the full feature set of JSON. Maybe that's just me being an idiot, but yeah. So talking about the music a bit more. So the music is more melodic and Anodyne. Even the ocean, there's melodies too, but I don't know. I feel like there's a lot more focus on like texture and mood. Letting the melodies sort of appear organically, rather than having them front and center. Like with Cliff or the forest, the music kind of just pops up in your face right away, whereas for some of even the ocean, at least, not all the places, it kind of, I like to start with it depends, but sometimes I like to start with textures more, and then kind of just look around there for a melody, and then just run with that melody for a bit, for a few minutes, and just have it loop. I really would like to write more music that is like Cliff or Roof. It's like, very catchy, memorable. But I just don't feel like even the ocean, the way what it's conveying and sort of its world and atmosphere doesn't really lend itself to this sort of music as well. In fact, I don't even think it works very well with Anodyne. It's very uplifting, but like, I don't know, I feel like it tries to tell a story too much or whatever. but for sure, I have a few songs in Even the Ocean that I hope will be, catchy or memorable. I think it'll be a really diverse soundtrack. I'm really excited about it. There's a lot of different styles and trying new stuff, and almost everything, or a lot of the melodies and textures in it are made from just this one free synth, Carbon, that I play around with myself to get my own song. I feel like you can be more expressive if you use the synth to make your own sounds rather than Anodyne, which everything was pretty much just using sound fonts, which, you can still be very creative with. But I think with a soundtrack, if I really, really want to emphasize mood and themes, and especially if I'm the one, who's working very closely to those mood and themes as the designer of the game and programmer of the game, then it's important that I can make my own sounds. This is kind of a lame way to get out of getting the boots, but whatever. Danger, this cave is unexplored. What cave? Oh, that cave. Okay, so I'm gonna finish the really hard dungeon. There's a lot of weird, bugs with that. See if I miss any questions. I've been doing this for almost an hour. I'm really tired. Any of the content in Anodyne procedurally generated? No, it is not. Yeah, I really like the cliff stuff, and I think it fits with the visuals and kind of an uplifting mood, but I think what I'm unhappy with is in the context of the game, it's kind of just out of place. But it forms a good contrast with the space area after that. And so my issue with it is something really that no one would take issue with except myself. DJ Shadow also asked, this was built on a framework, right? Yes, it was built on the Flixel framework, which is also the API that I use for Even the Ocean for hacks. It does a lot of the really boring stuff for you, at least for me. Yeah, and lets you really get to making the game a lot faster. And someone asked, where did James originate? And James is the bear that talks about sex. So John says, so for Woods, I was thinking about animal NPCs, and James is basically this idea of a talking animal, but the animal is way less anthropomorphized, personality-wise. Aton asked, who wrote the Cube King monologues? Was it John? I wrote the monologues, and John went and sort of made them sound better, kind of proofreading and edited them. With the Cube Kings, which I could talk about when we get there in the later part of the LP, is so a lot of what I'm thinking about is sort of you have friends and people you meet in your life, and their minds kind of influence your minds, and so the way you interact with them in real life is different from if you're an online friend, and the Cube Kings are sort of getting at that difference between people who primarily know it's towards a possibly more constructed identity, or able to be more constructed identity through online, and sort of how you can feel about that, and how that relates to sort of isolation in everyday life. But the reason why they're in that space area is because it's kind of this area that exists between dimensions. So space, it's kind of abstract, and when stuff gets very abstract in Anodyne, what it is it's kind of stepping away from Jung's mind proper and kind of mixing in with other people's minds. So sometimes those minds are, perhaps Jung's friends. Sometimes it's, my mind, my head. Just because, everyone sort of, grows, learns from each other, and that's kind of something fun to play with world design. And John says a little bit more about James, and that basically it was an animal thinking just about its biological desires in a very innocent way, and weird that would sound if you could actually communicate with an animal mind with a society is so different or whatever. I mean, in a way, you kind of, maybe you can kind of learn from an animal mind, right? Even if the interactions aren't with words. You influence their mind, their behavior, and whatever. Yeah, the inspiration save in-joke, yeah, that's where it fit in. And that's also, the abstract stuff later. Okay, so here's the room that everybody hates, and Another thing about the cliff area is that there were a lot of iterations through it. I made it the first few times, but John went through it again and made it a lot better. So John made the nature areas suck less for most times. My head kind of hurts. I should go eat. So I'm gonna finish this room and then be done. So this is one of the worst rooms in the game. People think you need to finish it, and you don't. I've had many friends, send me pictures. They're just like, "This is so hard." I'm like, "I'm sorry." And once I've even tuned into a stream of Anodyne, and there's this girl playing it, and she was so upset. She was swearing at the game. She's like, "Who made this? I want to kill them." And I was like, "This is really, really just awkward." Yeah, so I'm here to show you that this is not hard, and I'm probably just gonna mess this up really, really badly. Yeah, but this is just to get a broom upgrade. In general, this reminds me that I really wish people would just be more open with their opinions on games. Instead of being all passive aggressive about it, because there's this one game developer, and see, that was easy. Okay. It's just about, the trick is just go back and forth. Like this. Wasting a frame. Okay, I lied. But, anyways. Yeah, people don't have patience, and when you don't. Yeah. Okay, so I'm tired, so I'm gonna save and quit. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna go eat dinner, and I'll probably do this again, another day. We're gonna play through the whole game, and I'll upload these to YouTube later today as well. So thanks for tuning in, and glad you came by. Definitely subscribe to the Twitch stream if you're watching it, so I feel better about my existence. Yeah, so this is the Anodyne LP live stream post-mortem from Sean's perspective, and yeah, goodbye.